Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. Um, it was requested that I go over Devstream 165, gonna summarize it, give some opinions on stuff. I've already sped through and glanced at it, so I'm a little prepared today. Seems like an overall just sort of a status update, if you will. It wasn't really anything blowing your hair back good, though some of the gameplay tweaks. I'm probably going to talk a bit about the new self-damage interaction a bit, and we'll get to that when we get there. Overall, it just seems like some minor tweaks and fixes, and also the new survival with the potential mechanics. They didn't show too much, but it is pretty telling of where their thinking is. Alright, let's get to it. I'm going to be going at 1.5 playback speed, just to make it a little shorter, because otherwise, with me talking and the length of this video, it's going to end up being like 2 hours.
Yeah, Kratos from God of War frame.
This is how I look.
Oh, that's how you look every is in today.
There we go.
Quest to Conquer Cancer. It is our finale next week. It's the final week this week. Monday, we have a big finale stream starting at 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. We're going to be streaming all day with some really awesome Warframe creators. The community team is going to join as well, and we're just going to hopefully blow it out of the water. We're trying to get $100,000 this month for October for Quest to Conquer Cancer.
We are very close.
We have the incredible floof over there, the Sawgoth floof that you can purchase in-game. Actually, you purchase it in the merch store and get an in-game one if that is what you want to do. We got blankets, we got pins. He looks edible.
And angry.
Edible. He's an angry round boy. An angry round boy. You can do exclamation point merch if you would like to check that out, and then exclamation point donate if you would like to donate towards the Quest to Conquer Cancer campaign. Like I said, October is very quickly ending, and hopefully we can get to $100,000. So thank you for everyone who's donated so far, and appreciate all the ones to come as we round out the month of October. Oh, speaking of, Dean, would you like to go to my gameplay? Would you like to?
What?
Would you like to?
Whoa. Okay. Real quick. In the States and the US, we generally a safe website to use. There's lots of nonprofits that offer information on charities and act as rating systems, or they have proprietary rating systems to help you figure out what's a good percentage of in terms of administrative costs and whatnot. I don't know how reliable the Charity Intelligence Canada site is, but they pulled the info directly from the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. I don't know how much you guys would care about this. I always look at this. They were rated 3 stars. It's not really telling. The major thing is percent of donated value that goes to the cause. The fact is the 75% is effectively a little lower in terms of direct to patient, right? This is a very wealthy charity. They're basically sitting on $750 million. So in terms of the 100K that we're giving as a community, is going to be a drop in the bucket, but don't let that, tear you down. It seems like they did some restructuring. The B rating is because a lot of their money goes to research. Okay, so let's do the breakdown real quick. 82% of the grants that this institute put out, the foundation, was for research, education, and patient care. Now, they don't really give too accurate of a breakdown on this, but this deals with a hospital, and 17,000 new patients, 72% required treatment for malignant cancers, 76,000 radiation therapy visits, 5,300 surgical procedures, and 470 stem cell transplants. So they're doing a lot of good. PMCC employs 1,300 researchers and research staff who opened 163 new clinical studies in 2020. Obviously, this information is a little old. Including in addition to the funding research projects, PMCC supports training programs for students and fellows at PMCC. There's a specific grant that takes care of this. So the money that we're donating as a community isn't affected by that generally. Equipment, 3%. That's nominal. That's overhead. Results in impact. Obviously, not to minimize the patient care, because that's really what it's about, right? But they brag the most about the amount of papers that they produce. Obviously, if they're doing good research, they claim fifth in papers. It ranks itself fifth in papers, placing among top 10% of citations in the same year in field. I don't know how accurate or relevant this is, to be honest. I know that there can be, not saying it's involved with this, but there can be sort of a research paper mill that boosts these numbers. I don't think that applies to this. But their claim this year in terms of like their breakthrough discovery is identifying that circular RNA, a rarely studied type of genetic material, is prevalent in cases of prostate cancer. The research team studied 144 tumors, identifying more than 76,000 circular RNA samples. This included 30,000 samples that had not been previously described. And they're now testing whether these markers of the circular RNA can help diagnose prostate cancer earlier. Solid stuff. Finances. Traditionally, the 75% that they quoted up here, that's pretty standard. But one of the things you have to keep in mind with stuff like this is because this is a grant-giving organization as well as operating a hospital, right? Is this 75%, the administrative cost, the overhead, the 25%, can get inflated pretty quickly. I don't know if you all have it like in Canada or wherever you are, but in the U.S. we have a very large nonprofit called United Way. And one of the issues with it is the United Way Foundation itself is basically an organization that supports organizations. So you actually get hit with double administrative costs because you'll donate, say, like for round numbers, right? $100 to United Way. And then they'll take their administrative costs out of it and have like their own personal programs, right? But if you designate money to an organization underneath the United Way, the United Way still takes its administrative costs and then it gives it to the underlying organization. And then that organization has to take its administrative costs also. And I'd be interested to see what sort of transparency is given to the underlying organizations, because I know with the United Way, back when I was helping the March of Dimes, like in college, they literally, no attempt to be hyperbolic or obtuse or for like comedic effect, the March of Dimes would just occasionally get a check from the United Way, and there would be no additional information about, this is the breakdown, this is how much we received, this is how much we took for administrative reasons. There was no informative breakdown, so the underlying organization couldn't even tell how much was actually donated on their behalf or who it was. So there was no way, if you ended up with somebody that just wanted to give like $100 a year to the March of Dimes, for the March of Dimes to contact this person right? So I'd be interested to see if, obviously, in this large of an organization, they're capable of running their own projects and everything. But I'd be interested to see, like, what their success rate is on the research projects, because obviously, when you're doing, like the amount of R&D they're doing, I'd be interested to see what their success and failure rate is. Right? Like if they're spending 100 million and like 90% of the research projects fail, I'd be interested to see what that statistic is. If 9 out of 10 of them fail or result in something not constructive or productive, I would be interested to see like what that ratio is, but obviously that's not something they're going to claim. They're just going to claim, oh, we put this much to research, right? But yeah, 750 million, 785 million in funding reserves, of which 186 million is donor endowed, so they're getting their funding from additional people. 17 million endowment fund held by the University of Toronto for grad students conducting research at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center, right? So it's small things to consider, but the one thing that sort of has my interest peaked is if you look at the fundraising and administrative cost as a percent of revenue, is it went down drastic. This isn't super common. Like generally you would have like the percentages sit around the average, like they would have settle like an average. And in 2020, obviously stuff happened in 2020. It was 36%, and in 2019 it was 34%. Now this article doesn't go into what caused it, right? But obviously there was a big shift. And they probably cut costs in 2021 due to COVID, right? But overall, I mean, they're sitting 517%. So is that like 5 years, 3 months? They couldn't collect a dollar and they could continue to operate? That's not bad. That's really solid for a nonprofit. Let's see, fees for service, lotteries, net. I think this literally means like a portion of the national lottery, special events, investment income. So they're actually making almost as much money off of investment income, off of their war chest, than they are from donations and from the government giving them money. That's whatever, right? Grants, fundraising, and administrative costs, 151 million. It's, again, massive organization. So even with the additional information, it's still hard to tell how good of an organization this is. I know DE bounces back and forth, but they even said on their website they're supporting this group again. So I'm assuming they've done their homework. But either way, just for those that care, I care about stuff like that and like seeing what the actual reports are. And just to let's see, they were claiming top 10. Okay, so in the U.S., actually, let me do something more their size. Trinity Broadcasting, World Vision, Cares. Okay, St. Jude's. It's a research hospital. Okay, they're sitting in the 70s also. Yeah. Not too bad. So, still in the 70s, and this is a US-based hospital. That's very big. So, anyway, moving on.
So our next tiers for the Quest to Conquer Cancer include
The attachments for the,
They're talking about tiers.
and
Let's
finish
move on to
with
game
that.
updates.
Let's talk about our next update. We did make a post in the forums about what you could expect in October. We did some hotfixes and such at the beginning of October, and then we posted saying we were going to go a little bit dark on hot.
do it. It's not worth it.
It's almost Christmas.
It's not worth it.
Alright, Telensprag fights and break armor missions, weapon skins. Okay, so new mini bosses and the call missions. Steinak gets a helmet. Ephemeras at Chipper and the Scout landing craft. Break armor feedback changes. Fast travel to Call's garrison. That's cool. Call, capture, and capture quality of life. Ember starter.
Second,
Merry
next week,
Christmas.
Echoes of
I don't
Elder
think
is
anybody
coming
cares about
on
the
all
Ember starter
platforms.
pack.
Now we want to talk a little bit more. We did talk about it a little bit last stream, but we want to talk a little bit more, show a little bit more as to what you can expect. One of the most important things to note, and we did note this in the forums, that it is a cert build. And what that really means in layman's term, I guess,
It's certainly awesome.
It is certainly Gratos.
It is certainly Gratos.
Certainly Gratos.
Killing it today. I love it.
One of the most important things about a cert build is it allows us to put code fixes and changes for console live in this build. So things like that will be fixed in Echoes of the Veilbreaker is fixing the Felarc dual mode chamber and mounting momentum evolution 3 perks that are not working. That is a code fix that we wanted to get in this build. It will be in this build on all platforms. Things like that required a code fix or change can be put into a cert build and given to you.
And it's also possible some crossplay fixes require code.
Oh.
Who knew? So maybe that's an important part of things.
Maybe fixing look link, which is top of my list.
Oh, that's actually, maybe we should keep that broken. We can save other platforms from
this problem.
That's rude. That's rude. People need to see my
Well,
fashion
you said Christmas
on
8
Xbox.
weeks away.
I did. Give it to me now. But yes, we do have some cross-platform play fixes in there, some stability fixes
All
as
right,
well.
so software
We'll talk
stuff.
more about kind of the summary of how cross-platform play is going in a bit, but let's jump back into Echoes of Veilbreaker. Top of that list there is the Venkra, Hell, and Sprague fights, which we have talked about before. We've shown that art. That doesn't actually exist. We've done it all. But now we have actual art. Let's just get rid of this and show the nice little zoomed-in version, shall we, Dean? Oh, baby, there they are. The sisters.
Yeah.
Yes, we've taken some artistic liberties. They don't coexist in the same level.
But we're still taking artistic.
Does anybody remember where in the lore these two belong? I mean, besides being like in the Orokin sabotage mission, does anybody actually remember where these two belong in the lore?
We always do. Every time we show these characters, we have to give some context. But yes, yeah, I don't know how much you want to talk about this. We're going to show some stuff.
One sniper,
Yeah, it's-
one hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to show those as well as
yeah.
cosmetics.
Okay.
But it is important to note for the Venkra and Sprague fights, currently, as you know in public, these two gals exist in the Void Sabotage mode. That mechanic itself is not being touched. Their meshes are going to be updated to their new and improved look, but these new boss fights, per se, are going to be within Call's Break and Armor missions, so you're going to be able to experience them individually in their respective missions. So I do believe, if I look at my notes here, we got Venkra, she's going to be in the Prison Break mission, and then we have Sprague hiding out in the Junk Run mission, and these are going to be optional. You don't have to fight them if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, with Echoes of Veilbreaker, which is this update that's
All
coming,
right,
we did
they're
take a look
optional.
at the Call challenge loops. You know, getting your cred from, or I guess from Call store when you're going for all of your Call, tokens to do your shopping in a store. There's basically two ways that you can get them. There's those sort of
Here we go.
Computer. Now,
well.
I've cheated a little bit and fast
Skipping.
traveled to this section.
Oh, Meg, you're like cooking it.
Don't worry.
Nope. Oh, there we go. There's one.
Drop off. Should we do blunt versus blunt? All right, so now we're in the second phase of the fight. This is where you do need brother, so I can't do this fight right now, but we'll look at, she's got a little bit of a drone action. Oh, don't want to get in those. Don't want to get in those.
All right.
And that's all we're going to show you. Dean, cut away. Cut away, quick, saw nothing.
I see lots of people in chat saying they've got the end fight feeling, the Metal Gear feeling.
Oh, yeah. Oversupplied missions. Yeah, there's
I don't think I've ever really heard that term before. and I love
Knock hammer skin, I apologize.
Oh, boy.
The Renok hammer skin, based off of Sprague's weapons. You can get those as skins in the market if you want to, vouch for one of your sisses.
Vouch for the sisters,
Vouch for the sisters.
Veilbreak for the brothers. This is
Ooh,
a family.
wow, it's a family show.
It's a family show.
Sniper and the
It's
hammer
I
skin
really like
look
this.
good.
All right,
Never
thank you.
remember. That is sweet.
Be able to procure such
But a
blueprints before
skin
inside
is
our
not
helmets, but right now it's in the
content.
market.
Or
That was super
gameplay.
pleasant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Go back to the big bonk.
This is just one of the. Yeah, there you go. That's it. It helps the team.
Damn. stock on these ephemeras, and both of them will react to the Archon shards that you have installed in your Warframe. Currently, my Wisp, she is, let me go back, she's doing pretty well. I got a couple Tau Forged, this is a dev build, this is not my real build. A couple Tau Forged in there and a couple regular. This is cheated. But if you were to perchance have a 1 Tau Forged, a couple normal, you are going to be able to make your ephemera react similar to mine. So this is the Shard Bane, and we're like, what does it look like?
Red.
Yeah, so those ones, the thinking with this is that we wanted dynamic ephemeras based on the actual Archon shards you have installed. So if you have Tau Fords, they'll show, and these ones, yeah, because there's 5 slots, we have it, Stegosaurus vibes, but essentially we wanted you to be able to show off your actual builds with your ephemeras so that if you're in a relay or if you're in a mission, people will sort of see what investment you have in a frame. So this is one of those things where what you see on the tin is, like
personal, it's just going to look like that, but this one's also going to react to the shard that I have installed. I know this one looks painful. So I'm going to just walking around and bam.
The balance of power
so red.
Navigation is marked with
You can see the Tau Forged ones, you can see the normal ones.
yes,
A little dynamic.
there you go. So if you stay still, they sort of
That's cool.
But now we've fixed
well. So as a veil breaker, you're gonna get everything.
there it is. If you want to take any little screenshots, boop, now's your chance. This is, of course, this is just kind of a list of what's coming. There's more like
A lot of what you know about
There's
Warframe.
recapping.
And of course, at the end of the trailer, we told you winter 2022, and frankly, that's just not going to happen. We need more time. So we are moving the Debary Paradox update until 2023. So that is the big news of the stream. I think for a lot of you that have been with us for a while, you kind of know that when we decide to push something, we either wait the week before, but if we have a chance to get ahead of moving it, we will take it. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Dean, I know you have an asset. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, color me surprised.
It feels like still half true. It's still winterish.
Yeah, well, it's winter 2022. It is being moved.
Still wintry.
I'm not, bringing news like this to the community isn't easy. I'm not happy to have to do it, but with the way the update's been
All right,
going and
Debary
some of the
moved back.
recontextualizing we want to put in, we absolutely
Something
need more
called
time to
Lewis
deliver.
Prey.
Hey, Sheldon, and if maybe update in winter 2020.
Classic Warframe update. It has a lot of core bits of what bring us to our love for endless missions in Warframe, and it's going to have a bit of a lore drop for the frame that's coming with it, which is to say we're going to talk about our 51st Warframe, the wolf-inspired Warframe, and that frame is in fact releasing this year with Lewis Prey update. This update will come on all platforms. We'll go through a lot of it today, but what we want you guys to know is we are working on Debary, and we're going to talk about it in our January Devstream.
All right, 51st Warframe. It's got a Void Shell skin, alt helmet, ephemera, and a Laverian. Okay. 2 new survival nodes. A narrative-driven room. Necromech eligible. That's cool. Unique gameplay mechanics. Nora gets Volume 3. Grendel, Mag, and Frost get Void Shell. Okay.
But as for now, we really need to go heads down, focus on our vision for it. Sort of the news for Debary.
A lot of when we were thinking about it, to give it to you this year, and we're going to talk much more.
So on the left side, you can see the initial pass that Greg did. And,
Shout out Greg.
Greg. And there's 4 different wolf heads.
Yeah, no one knows anything about this yet, so we're gonna jump into what actually this frame is and what it means for the players. In the Lewis Prey update, you're going to get a Laverian for Varuna, and you're going to get a lot of story about who she is, why she has these 4 wolf heads. But I think the fundamental part of how this frame will play, how this frame will work, is that each head is a unique creature that once roamed her side. What happens to them, you'll have to see, and each one has a distinct name. They are her beasts, each one represented by an actual name that just so happens to be
The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th runner-up names from the voting that happened. So the names are going to be up her heads.
Cake and eat.
I told you were going to like this.
All right,
we have
right.
Rashk, Dynair, Lyketh, and Ulfrin are going to be the names of her wolf heads.
So yeah, the way that's going to work is each power is going to correspond to one of her former wolves. What happens to them again, you'll have to wait to see. She's going to draw on their energy. Each of them had a different archetype that maybe you had to make into how do you make a wolf head look like stealth?
Yeah.
So
I wanted to change the Fenris, but now that's a different name.
Different name.
Sorry. That was kind of the starting wolf, and then I wanted to kind of try and get the aesthetic with the name that we chose. The
All
stealth.
right, so each wolf is associated with an ability, has a personality. I guess they were part of her pack. And the runner-up. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th names in naming Varuna or whatever the frame is. That's the order that the names got put in, top to bottom, I guess.
with her 4 loyal, Kubros and/or wolves, that we'll make sure that they get that sort of distinct treatment when they became part of her.
Yeah, this Warframe is turning into really cool. The lore is really making it.
Who you've called upon to have active, and what we really want is for each of those wolf heads to articulate in a different state, so you know who is at your side. So we really are going all in on this heart of the pack. She is going to, have a lot of unique things with her gameplay, and I'm very excited to be working on this and getting it engaged.
Oh, there was one. I saw it.
yeah.
Tuvol, Stardust, I think said it.
Nailed it.
Yes, so Tuvol is going to play a part in the story of Varuna, and we are kind of taking a page out of what we did with Styanax's Levirian, where we really were inspired by the anime and used a lot of the art from that within Styanax's Levirian. We're going to be doing kind of the same thing with Varuna's Levirian, so this is going to work in progress of what will be you can experience in the Levirian for Varuna.
Yeah, the Chimiki brothers are already sketching out ideas.
Oh, they
look so rad.
Yes, they do.
So and that was Marco's piece. Amazing. So.
Marcos.
Yes, so Tuvol will, maybe the Lewis Spray update name will all be themed
I'm
around
going to move
Lua, which of
forward
course
to
you're probably
the new survival mode.
Yeah, we got some grammar. Oh, there's your style that's going to give you some lore. And for some reason, there's these pockets of black and white.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
And here and only here in the star chart, other than Railjack, you will be able to use your mech, and there is a reason for this. This will be something that is sort of within the confines of these mission types. So we're kind of just going all in on survival with twists. We have a little bit of lore for those of you who know you'll be able to find this masterpiece tile and learn a little bit about it and why Lua might be reacting to something happening. And yes, you can use mechs. Yes, there is survival, but every 5 minutes we spawn a variant enemy that if you keep them alive, they're going to drain your survival faster. So the intention with this game mode is you're going to go in, you're going to be playing your survival, you can use your mech, and the longer you stay, every 5 minutes, an enemy that if you've played Angel of the Zeramin, you'll know it's not an angel though, will spawn and drain your life support 2 times as fast. So you're going to have basically sprints every 5 minutes where you have to take out
an enemy.
Have to take out an enemy, and then you can just go ham, stay in as long as you want, earn Varuna here, earn some of her gear here, and if you're a bit of a lore hound, you'll be able to find this new room that only find this. You can sniff it out.
It's a wolf laugh if you're
We're
wondering.
just gonna.
That's what a wolf sounds like when it laughs.
And these black and white spaces will give you, as a player, some buffs. So when you're in them, you'll be able to. We won't talk about what the buffs are now, but when you find them, you're going to want to play from them because your Warframe will benefit. So whether you're going to be in mech mode,
Yeah, but this is like some degree.
Okay, new survival mode. Got some new mechanics. What is it? I get maybe it's Skitter Girl. Is gonna steal life support. I guess the longer you stay in the survival, the quicker you farm the new frame. You can use mechs in like special gray areas, and if you don't take care of whatever the enemy is every 5 minutes, it's going to be really hard to get life support.
yeah, it's just it's a little bit of a flavor twist, and it's going to give you a way to earn the new Warframe, maybe learn more about the world. And
But you were talking about other things that come with Varuna.
yes, signature weapons.
Signature weapons, let's talk about it.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Of course, any warrior woman needs an axe, which I think we showed the concepts of last stream.
Yes, so now we have a little bit more polished, work in progress version of the axe. This is going to be one of her signature weapons. She will have an axe, and she will also have. What's it going to be?
She's going to have a long-range weapon. This is going to be her signature primary, and it's going to be a little bit of an energy sniper, and she'll be axe in hand, sniper holstered, ready to go.
I'd like the bonker in hand, but.
The big bonker, yeah.
Yeah,
The big
they're
pinky?
not compatible. Don't
Oh,
even
can
think
I
about
have a
it.
big bonker and the. All right.
And there will be more things coming with Varuna, but those are 2 that we wanted to show you here today.
really cool.
And then as well, other things that are coming that we have shown, Zaku Deluxe.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Are we sure?
The art that we are going to show you is very work in progress in engine. We showed the concept at TennoCon, I do believe it was.
think
with
last-
Zaku Deluxe
I think, oh no, we
progress.
showed what's also coming with
There's
Zaku.
also a
Yes,
Lotus
which we'll show you as well.
skin.
We've talked
Oh,
about
so
it
I'm gonna
yesterday,
skip
so
it because it's not.
we
done.
once lived in an era where you could just explode yourself and regular yourself into oblivion. We don't. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you used to be able to, throw down your lens, throw down your Brahma. You would die if you were too close to impact. We totally took away self-damage. We added self-CC and self-stagger, and now prime sure-footed is sort of the mandatory mod if you want to be using those weapons. We changed things with the ammo economy in our Veilbreaker updates, and we currently have a prototype, which we're not 100% sure what we're going to do with it yet, but it is working to our specifications, and we're pretty happy with it. This is not a commitment in either way, but we just want to be pretty damn transparent with you guys about what we're thinking for self-damage, which is we are thinking of bringing it back, and this prototype is going to walk you through exactly how that looks. So, first of all, you cannot kill yourself. Your
prototype.
maximum threshold for damage is 75% regardless of your mod. So if you shoot right at your feet, 75% of your health pool will be taken away. There is range, 25% far away. Any of the multi-shot beams won't hurt you, so for things like Brahma that have fragment, they won't. And then if you hit what we're going to do with it yet, but it is working to our specifications, and
gonna
we're pretty happy
back
with it. This is not a commitment in either way, but we just want to be pretty damn transparent with you guys about what we're thinking for self-damage, which is we are thinking of bringing it back, and this prototype is going to walk you through exactly how that looks. So first of
If they keep this, so just everybody keep an eye out for it. 990 shield, 990 health. Watch what happens when she shoots.
all, you can
It skips shield gate. So we'll see how that goes. If they leave that, nobody's ever going to play an AoE weapon again.
cannot kill yourself. Your maximum threshold for damage is 75% regardless of your mod. So if you shoot right at your feet,
Or you would have to run... Actually, that would be kind of interesting. Like, how would, Like, obviously, this is like prototype. They're just doing it to be transparent. I like that. Say with like overshields, like say particularly Harrow with like a decaying dragon key. If you take, ooh, actually, that's pretty interesting. Couldn't you just take a decaying health key also? Because it's total pool, right? Just take both, and if you have... Yeah, I think you would just take a decaying health key. Because it's 75% of your total pool, right? And if you get overshields, and you have a decaying dragon key, I wonder if the overshield charge takes into account your total pool, how that's going to play out. I'll have to test it, but I'm just like sharing my thinking. Like if you, because obviously in their current setup, 990, 990 shield health, right? 75% of your max is 50% of your health pool. But if you take a decaying health key, that drastically reduces it. Would that take into account the 75% and only make it so it pulls out of your shields, right? Especially if you have like overs.
75% of your health
That'd be
pool will be taken away.
interesting.
There is range,
But obviously, if you're
any of the
shield
multi-shot
gating,
won't hurt you. So for things like Brahma that have fragment, they won't. And then if you hit something that's kind of outside your control, you won't take as much damage. So let's heat
obviously if you're running shield gate
I think we have a slow
also,
motion version just for people that want to see
with
it
like
again.
a decaying key, your shields are going to be tiny
the intended
also.
outcome of this change is that
It
you
might
just
not
will be
matter.
more careful with your massive AoE rune clearers. You need to exercise aiming and a little bit of caution when you're using the frankly, often most powerful room clearing weapons in the game. There's a drawback to you if you're a little clumsy, like shooting it right at your feet. You'll get that little damage, and then if you can't control something like that fall off, obviously it's not going to do damage to you. Direct hits, like we said, enemies in this game spawn by the dozen and dozen, so you can't always be in control of where they're going to move. So there's not as big a penalty there, and that shorter range for self damage applies in that case. Now, important detail here is in this prototype we have taken away self CC.
I wonder
so
if it
all
would
of this just
bypass
exists
like a
without Prime
Aegis
Sure-footed
proc
having to
for
mitigate
12
the self CC.
seconds
So
of
it's
shield.
solely a damage drawback, because basically what we have right now is it's only a CC drawback and there's no damage. So the opposite of this prototype is, okay, now there's damage, it cannot kill you, but it also will never stagger you. So that means mods like Prime Sure-footed or just Sure-footed are intended only for enemy knockback, if you're fighting Profit Taker, what have you, that mod is
Self CC is gone also, so no more staggers, no more flinches, knockdowns. So that'll be pretty good. That'll help people not have to equip Prime Sure-footed so much.
which was the goal of the mod, and in general, this is the prototype that we're working with as a way for those.
It does trigger me a little bit that they were like, oh, Prime Sure-footed, like the goal of the mod was to run like Profit Taker and stuff like that. When did that even come out? Oh, and they did buff it. Alright, so 2018. First awarded May 2018. All right, so a couple months before Fortuna came out,
those weapons to
when
really stay as
you could
powerful
get
as they
Prime
are, and our
Shift
ability to redirect how we could balance them.
I knew
for
it wasn't a
players that are using
super
them
old
with
mod, but
their
it's been around
little
for a
bit of
bit.
attention to where you're aiming, so that you're not just sprinting en masse, shooting the floor, what have you. We tried the ammo thing. This prototype is in a spot where there are going to be reactions to it, of course, which I'm reading right now. But yeah, it's different, and it is something that if we get our hands on it internally in the next week or two, we're probably going to, if we're going to release it this year, it will be with Lewis Prey. So that's sort of the target for it. We will have one more dev stream before then, I think. Maybe not actually, I don't know. But we will talk about it more with you guys in a dev workshop. I just wanted to give you some insight into where that does self-damage bypass shield gate. Right now in the prototype, yes, it's 75% of your pool of health and shield. So
Speaking of targets,
we
just had a $1,000 anonymous donation that brought us over the 90,000.
Oh, congrats everybody, 9,000, you knocked their shoulder.
Thank you, Anonymous. Get nuggets out of it so that we can take the feedback from the stream and talk about it a bit more internally. But yeah, those are the prototype videos. That is the general way it's looking right now. And why are we doing this? We're just trying to keep the game interesting, and we're trying to balance things in a way that either gives players a bit more gameplay moment-to-moment decision-making, because there are ways where our philosophy for nerfing come into play here. And this is more of a redirect of how the AoE weapons used to work, bringing back self-damage and giving players that use these extremely powerful weapons just that one extra moment where maybe that aim does matter when you're going to clear the room. So.
Yeah, not a
Well, I guess that means self-damage Chrome is back on the menu, boys.
All right, speaking of working on it, moving on to maybe a couple more cosmetics coming in Lewis Prey. We have concept art here. We have 3 Void Shell skins that are going to be coming in Lewis Prey. Grendel is going to be getting
I don't care about the
We
Void
mentioned
Shell.
Nightwave. Don't look. We mentioned that Nightwave. We do have some new Nightwave coming. Volume 3, Nora's Mix Volume 3 is going to be coming.
All right,
Mods,
skins.
Protocol series of skins. These are inspired from a different time and place, but getting them into Warframe has been
Skins,
a
but
ongoing,
they're Nightwave.
That's so cool.
ongoing journey, and this Nightwave was a perfect fit for it. It's going to
that's
give people
cool.
that want these skins a new reward
No
track.
way.
We'll have some, yeah.
I'm a monster.
I haven't seen these.
take
They're
us
great.
back, take us
my
back.
God.
Yes.
Yes, so that,
1911.
look at that.
Oh.
We did some upgrades on the assets, and the protocol skins will be yours.
Ooh.
That's kinda
Obviously,
cool.
way better than image. But
No.
this is, again, just a quick summary, overview of what's coming in Lewis Prey. Again, to reiterate kind of what
Don't worry, everybody. It's not a new mech. It's a skin. You don't have to level it again.
Yep, sorry?
It's loaded.
locked and loaded, baby.
Yes, we got
Like my
that.
tiny pistol. That we
All
showed.
right,
Dean, you want to go back
crossplay.
to it? Appreciate you.
Roll it again.
The third one, cross-platform play. Now you can talk about what Hank's saying.
Appreciate
Got you,
Yes,
boo.
I got teed up here. Yes, so we have been sort of surprise launching tests on cross-platform play. Right now, PC and Xbox platform have cross-platform play. It's on, it's staying on, and we're going to just drop a few more surprise tests at our discretion to monitor how we can grow and scale that with including our other platforms.
Yeah.
And that is a major priority for us. One of the important parts of our community is connecting them with each other, and cross-platform play is something we've been talking about for literal years, and we want to focus on it as much as we can. I'm not going to say it's going to be done this year, not at all, but we're going to try. And that's basically one of the tech priorities for us before we release something as big as Debary Paradox is to get the community together. So
Yes.
we're kind of setting ourselves up for a truly united community if we can for that 2023 roll-in. And this year we are working on more surprise tests, turning on what we can, and you'll be able to, I think you'll hear from us later, maybe the next dev stream, about where we're going to be by the end of the year for cross-platform play. We aren't going to be doing widely broadcasted test announcements. That's just not going to work with how we're enabling things behind the scenes. But as you've already maybe seen or heard with the community, PC and Xbox are on and have stayed on since October 6th, I think.
Yep, our second test, and we've kept it on.
Yeah, so yes,
No, I mean, it would be great if we could just be like, hey,
Yeah.
it's out for everybody at this
course,
time.
yeah.
But the way it's working, I mean, this is great. Like, it's
Yeah.
really exciting that we have the Xbox PC.
We're making strides.
Every
One
single
step at a
Archon
time.
hunt I've done since it launched, I've played with an Xbox person.
Oh, I
which
love
is
it.
super fun.
Yeah,
So
prime time, we've been playing with Xbox people. Like, it's so fun.
And Nintendo Switch and PlayStation, we're hoping to get you in there next, but we're not going to announce when. I think if you already Google Warframe cross-platform play, there's too much incorrect information. So what we want to do is just get it all in position on our terms internally, turn it on when we can, and then we can.
People are playing Warframe on Steam Decks, so technically mobile's out.
officially launch it.
Yeah.
And then there would be
This is a community effort. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
impressive.
a month.
enhanced rendering moving forward.
Skipping.
Which is to say that the current state of development on art, on code, is we're maintaining 2 rendering techniques. We have our classical rendering technique, which is something that works on last-gen consoles, and then we have our enhanced renderer, which is what brings all the new hotness when our art pipeline and everyone can work in this world.
You're the art.
You're the art hotness.
You're the hot.
Yes.
You're the art hot.
Yes. So I want to show people just the difference, even in something as new as Angels of the Zeramin. What we're looking at now is the classical rendering. So if you're a player going through this, you're like, wow, cool, we're in the Zeramin. But if you're running enhanced, you get decals and you get just better graphics with our enhanced renderer. And as you can imagine, we need to make sure our assets look good in both, with obviously focus on the enhanced. So we are going to be phasing out the classical renderer, hopefully before Debary. That is our plan, and there's a couple reasons for that. So even in the planes of Eidolon, you can see
Oh,
the differences between
geez,
classical
okay.
renderer, and then we can go right into enhanced.
wow.
And it is, well, it's day in the planes, but
Ooh, so DirectX 11 or 12 capable GPU. I wonder how badly that's going to hurt people. Because what, if you're running like an NVIDIA 900 series, like a 970, 980, Would you even be able to run it? Is that too many generations back? Or say like the older Radeons? I mean, it looks good, right? I could see them dragging that
But
transition.
it is night and day when you look at the details and even the shadows there.
I could see them dragging that transition.
What we're going to do is
it's sort of like World of Tanks. They
this is things you
tried
saw in the
that.
Debary demo, but even the way Debary
Where they
looks in
tried
classic,
to,
this is classic, this is enhanced, and then take another look. I think we have one more example in the
Up
town
the
square.
min
This is
spec, and
classic,
they lost like
this is
half their
enhanced.
player
So these are all
base.
scenes from, you can imagine the TennoCon demo would have felt a lot different if you didn't have that enhanced detail, from the decals to the shadows, and yeah, it's
But there are a lot of people who are.
I don't
there
think
are a lot of people
Warframe's so
don't.
hard up, and
Because the reason
it's
we're
a
not
way
releasing
smaller
this, like,
player
right now,
base,
just turning it
right?
off, is because we want to make sure that it will perform to what a player.
But one of the
has baseline
things that
Warframe
was
performance.
always pretty good
So
about
it is a huge tech
Warframe is that you
undertaking,
could
and
essentially
it is going
run it on
to
a
unify the
potato.
way we approach doing art for the game and the code we have to manage. So if there's a single source of truth for rendering, it's going to unite all of those departments so that they don't need to be living in two worlds with every single asset we produce and how it's going to look and how it's going to run. So our goal is to get all of those last gen consoles running enhanced. It's not that we're going to take them away. That is not what I'm saying. We're going to get them running it, and we're going to be working on that, and we will keep you posted on what levels we're looking at and how we're going to get there. But it's important for things because the enhanced renderer frees up some interesting customizations that right now would only work in enhanced. So maybe if there's a certain character that you met in the new war that could have really cool face tattoos, that's something that currently enhanced rendering supports. And there's a whole school and world behind the scenes that we're working on there.
Kratos, what do you know about
What do you know about face tattoos? Isn't it paint, right?
I was born this way.
You were born this way.
I know Kratos has to be.
Add facial hair, we're working on it.
They're relics that will be a
Sarah
rotating
in all caps, people have taste.
I mean, okay.
Saren and Valkyr.
As well, it's November.
Since like Saren, or not Saren, since what is it, Valkyr, and I think Zephyr. I know Valkyr is just like a permanent unlockable. It doesn't make sense to have them as like prime access. Or have them be like on rotation. Like just have their accessories.
Thank you for the reminder.
Lovely.
Loving it.
Sorry, apologies. But what comes with November? Movember.
Just point at Aaron's
Mo-
face.
Movember.
We are going to be doing Movember again this year. We're going to be turning those mustaches back on all platforms as well. We'll be running our classic Movember contest of capture. Get those mustaches ready on your frames. If you're ever wondering, damn, what does Stynax look like with a mushroom? With a mustache? With a mustache? You're going to find out next week when we launch the mustaches on all platforms again. Fun times ahead for Movember. We'll be doing that for the whole month of November, as one does.
And that is one type of facial hair that's coming. That isn't what I meant.
That isn't what you meant.
Only with
At
hands.
all.
Only with the hands.
Only with the hands you get mustaches. Yeah.
Yes, that is not what I meant.
No, that's not what we meant.
You'll see.
Other hair in other places.
Sure.
Moving on. One quick note about the TennoGen program. If you are a beautiful TennoGen artist, A, we love you. B, there's a couple changes coming to the program. There will be a full post up brought to you by the wonderful Taylor King. But basically what we're doing is we're going to be removing around deadlines, and we'll be reviewing submissions on a frequent interval schedule. There's a lot of reasons detailed out in the forum post about this, but the goal is to change and reduce the timeline between submission, feedback, acceptance, and finally going into the game. If you're familiar with our cadence of TennoGen, you know it's kind of grown apart as the years have gone on, just how we
All right,
So they'll
TennoGen.
kind of do them in batches, right? For the new year before Christmas.
Yeah.
It's going to have some lore. It's going to have new frame. It's going to have a variant survival game mode.
All right, recap. There you go. All right, so it seems like a pretty basic update. The two things that kind of piqued my interest, maybe not two things, but the things that piqued my interest was the self-damage. Obviously, that's going to be a big thing. I think as long as you can't kill yourself in-game, it might end up being something that we'll just end up like dragon keying our way out of. But especially if like over shields are taken into account, right? But the fact is that if they leave the mechanic that it allows it to bypass your shield gate, that could end up being really troublesome. Like, you would never take an AoE weapon late game, because you would need your shield gate up. Like, you wouldn't want like a random like thing to kill you, right? Like, it wouldn't be worth it. You would just take a different weapon. And with the new survival mechanic where there's like a thing that spawns, maybe it's part of like the greater rework. They didn't mention it specifically, but obviously they do have an issue with like the camping style of playing Warframe. And maybe this is going to be part of like a bigger rework. But I can't wrap my head around it and how it would be beneficial for like a new player to have this. Like, you don't have to camp. Like, I camp now because I'm lazy. I want the farm, and it's a game, so I don't want to work hard for it. That's just part of what it is. But for a new player who doesn't have the ability to do like a long farm and is like struggling with like rotation C's, God forbid they're actually trying to do like Steel Path. It fixes itself, but everybody has to go through it. Like when you first get like into Steel Path, right? Before you have like a weapon upgraded and you have like your build adjusted and everything, you guys should be hyper fixating on like a really strong weapon, a really strong primary, a really strong secondary, and a really strong melee, and upgrading those first and adjusting your build accordingly on them when you go from like regular star chart to Steel Path. But after that, then you can start dicking around. But you need something that works, right? And if they start adding like anti-camping mechanics, and this becomes like part of like a wider thing, I could see it becoming an issue. Because I don't know about you guys, but like I don't do survival runs too much anymore, because I don't really need to farm anything. But when I do survival runs, it's basically because like me and the boys just like want to hang out. We want to like sit in a survival and like bullshit in Discord, right? And we just happen to be playing Warframe. But if Warframe starts becoming like no, you need to pay attention to me all the time, then they either need to make the enemies harder or make Warframe easier to play. Because just if you demand high attention, high focused attention, you better be getting something for it. And I just don't know if Warframe meets that attention span. Because, like, say if you were to do like Apex Legends or something like that, it's PvP, you're playing against other people. So there's always something you have to be on the lookout for. But on Warframe, it's random tile set RNG, right? And the AI is dumb as hell. It breaks all the time. So what is actually, if you're demanding more interest and more focus and more attention from people, what are they focusing and paying attention to? It just doesn't make sense, because the AI breaks in this game a lot. Like, I've already heard from people that like the AI is like not pathing correctly. If you run enough enemy radar, apparently you can see them spawn in, and they just like hang out there in rooms. So it's killing your kills per second or kills per hour, or however you want to quantify it. So it's just, if they're gonna go the path, I'd say like some TLC on like some AI and like game mechanics, because stuff keeps breaking. It's whatever, but it's just sort of part of the Warframe experience. But anyway, not too much of a hot take this Devstream. Granted, they didn't like, none of this stuff set the world on fire. Anything that seems like it would be edgy was in like the pre-planning stage. But like I think the change of pace for the survivals is going to be nice, as long as they don't make you have to have like a mech. Which, now that I think about it, I think they mentioned that the nodes unlock after New War. I don't know. I just can't. Like, obviously mechs are fun, don't get me wrong, but if you're doing like a 2-hour survival, like, how's a mech gonna survive? Like, how's a mech gonna survive? You've got the 4 on the Void Rig that will do damage for an eternity. but I just don't see the mech being useful past like the first couple of rounds. But it is what it is, my dudes. This wasn't too much of a hot take. The Devstream wasn't super exciting, but obviously some pretty interesting implications. But I don't think I'm going to be using the mech too much. Especially with as powerful as the frames are, like it would be a downgrade. But anyway, my dudes, have a blessed day. Nice 50-minute video. Thanks for watching, guys, if you made it this far. Later.